everyone, welcome back or welcome if you're new. I'm Sagarika and thank you for being here. I hope you guys are doing great. Today we're talking books, the books I read in November and the books I'm planning to read next. Let's start with November reads. I read 5 books in total and 3 were a part of series. Once Upon a Broken Heart series. Let's begin with that. So, Once Upon a Broken Heart is a young adult fantasy. It's written by Stephanie Garber, I think. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. To stop her lover's marriage to another, Evangeline Fox, she strikes a deal with the Prince of Hearts, and in exchange for his help, he asks for 3 kisses to be given at the time and place of his choosing. But that's not all. There's more that he wants. And after the first kiss, she realizes that bargaining with a mortal is a dangerous game. As soon as I was done with the series, my first thought was nothing. I was blank. But the second thought, did I finish the series or did it finish? I loved how full of whimsy the series is, and Ava. Ava is kind, and I've heard people say that she's dumb and naive, and I think it's a mix of her kindness and overthinking that leads to those dumb decisions. And if you think about it, overthinking fused with anything is a dangerous combination. She's kind, she believes in magic and is a hopeless romantic. She is a walking fairy tale. Jax, the Prince of Hearts, on the other hand, a walking nightmare. A hot walking nightmare dressed like a daydream. Which is kind of how Ava describes him as well. Perfect with a hint of danger when he's capable of doing dumb things as well. And do you know how high my standards are after reading this series? Very. They have gone higher. They've crossed the sky at this point. Hear me out, okay? And feel free to skip ahead. I'll put the timestamp on the screen, but this is one of the many lines that have held me hostage since I've read it. He held on to her as if she were a crutch. Do I want someone to hold me as if I were a crutch? Yes, definitely, forever. And I'm sure many of you have heard about the infamous line, there's nothing of equal value to me. That, I believe, is the perfect example of unconditional love. Book one was fine. It takes you a bit to get used to, but that's fantasy for you. I have many favorite moments from this one, and I have a favorite someone. Well, not favorite, but close. I found myself crushing on a certain green eyed guy with initial C. And if you meet him, tell him I said hi. Anyway, there are other characters that I loved, a few I hated. And second book, The Ballad of Never After, is my favorite. But I also wanted to throw it across the room so hard that it would hit a wall and knock someone dead. And there's this audio that I think perfectly describes how I felt after reading this. Wow, I haven't stopped my toe in 5 months, I said with joy. I was then shot 57 times. Yeah, that's what I felt after finishing this one. And the third book, it felt like something evil possessed it in the most chaotic, unhinged way. Yeah. I mean, it's in the title, A Curse for True Love. This was my first Stephanie's read, and I'm glad about it. But you're technically supposed to read the Caraval series first. It's not necessary, but it helps a bit. There's a bit of Jack's story in there, and also you'll be able to recognize a couple characters better. I definitely had the time of my life reading this. I finished this within a week. The first book took me a while, but the second two done within 24 hours. But there were times when I felt overwhelmed too because there's too much going on and not enough answers, if that makes sense. Some characters develop beautifully, especially the main leads, and a few were a simply lost cause. The whole series was a 5 for me. but individually, I would rank this the highest, and it's a tie between the first and the third book. If you love fantasy, a little whimsy, definitely go for this one. And if you see my hair rose gold in future, just know that the decision was fully influenced by this series. Now, on to the next book, The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore by Laurie Gilmore, the second book in Dream Harbor series, and can be read as a standalone. So, about the story, it follows Hazel and Noah. Hazel works at a bookstore, the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and one day finds a message hidden within one of the books. She has no idea who did it or why, but as more messages started appearing, she decides to follow the clues along with Noah, a gorgeous, very outgoing fisherman who, by the way, has a crush on her. I actually like this one better than The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. That book is a bit overhyped, in my opinion. A good read, though. I love the bookish scavenger hunt element. As a reader, that idea is very appealing. And the vibes were very wholesome, very Gilmore Girlsy. Hazel is an introvert and a reader, so I found her very relatable. I could see a few similarities between her and me, and so I ran out of storage yesterday, but we are pretending it's the same day. Okay, let's leave it at that and move ahead with our review. I was talking about how Hazel is an introvert, and I could find a few similarities between her and me. And Noah, he is a flirtatious gentleman, in my opinion, and I could also see myself in him at times. What I really liked is that how the characters are very real life coded, and even their characters' arc were very realistic. I loved the chemistry between Hazel and Noah. I loved the friendships. I loved the whole small town feels. It was sweet and spicy with just a touch of drama, not too much. But there are flaws too. Some things just didn't sit right with me, and the cover, it's a bit misleading. It's all fall, as you can see, but the vibe is very end of the summer, early fall. Yeah, August, September. So make sure to read it either at the end of the August or very early September. But even though I read it at the end of the fall, I still had a good time. It was a good read. This was a 4 out of 5 stars for me. And if you're looking for something easy to read, small town romance, go for it. And remember, 18 plus, it's a bit smutty. Next and the last, A Shimla Affair by Srishti Chaudhary. This book follows three sisters attempting to change the course of Indian independence, told through one of the sisters, Nalini Mistry. She and her sisters, Noor and Afreen, they run a royal hotel, Shimla, serving British high society. But when a secret revolutionary group asked for their help during the hotel's summer jubilee ball, they were pulled into these webs of lies and impossible choices. And in the midst of it all, Nalini found herself falling for a British officer. This is one of those reads that feels good but also not. In the beginning, I found it very hard to connect to the book, and part of that might be because of Once Upon a Broken Heart series. Every time I read a good fantasy, I just fall into this slump and I couldn't get through the next book. I don't know how I got through the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, but eventually the slump found me and thus became the victim of that slump. Anyway, so back to the book. The first half, it felt slow, but the second half, it was written with a depth that just pulls you in. And the same goes for the characters. You connect with them more as the story progresses. It's not really a romance book, but if you're a romance reader and you're looking for some, there's a bit of it. And it's just right for the mystery thriller genre. And if you start feeling a bit suspicious about certain characters, go with the instincts, because I was suspicious about these two characters. One seemed too good to be true, and it just felt right not to trust them. And I was right. I just love it when I get these kind of things right. And the ending, it was cry worthy. but I did find part of it slightly confusing. I just couldn't understand what happened there. Overall, it was a good read, and I rated it 3.8 out of 5 stars. On a side note, I did feel a sense of pride while reading about the rich culture of India in the pre independence era, and also people fighting for the freedom of their country. It's just so, I felt really proud to be Indian at that moment. So that concludes the review part. Now it's time for my TBR. I'm currently rereading The Library of the Unwritten by AJ Hackwith. I read it last year and had a really good time. I just got the other two books in the series, and before I dive in, I wanted to just refresh the memory. These are the other two books in the series: The Archive of the Forgotten and The God of Lost Words. I also bought the Caraval series by Stephanie as a birthday present to myself. After learning that this was supposed to be read before the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, I just couldn't resist. So I got this. I think I'll be starting this in the new year. I already have these books at the moment, and I'm not sure how long I'll be taking with these. And I was thinking about getting a holiday themed book for Christmas. I'm not sure. I don't know when I'll be finishing with these, so I don't want to get another book just because I want to. So that's the plan for now. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the reviews helpful. And if you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to end this here, and I'll see you soon. Bye.